KCAA.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You're tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere in the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. By the way, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Just put in Viewpoint with Father John. And if you've missed the show, you can catch it on YouTube. In the search bar, put Viewpoint with Father John, KCAA. And kids, you can now follow me on Twitter at Father John Reed. That's R-E-I-D, the Irish spelling, which is always the best. I was taught as a child there's only two kinds of people in this world, Irish and those that wish they were. And so you can follow us there as well. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing of false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And folks, I'd like to tell you about a place in Claremont called Claremont Pharmacy. They are on the corner of Indian Hill Boulevard and Arrow Highway. The establishment is owned by Dr. Nikki Ho, and this is where I get all my pharmaceutical goods, right there. They take care of my diabetic needs and try to keep me under a 7, which is not easy when you're eating Twinkies. And but go in there, say hi to Dr. Nikki Ho for me, and you know what? If you're tired of being treated like a number, this is the place to go, because they take every patient personally. And also, if you haven't gotten your flu shot, be sure to go get it. Also, while you're in the city of Claremont, be sure to stroll on down to my favorite eatery, BC Cafe, also known as Kickback Jack's. It's on the corner of Indian Hill Boulevard and San Jose. And you say hello to Jose and Rocky and all the girls that work there, and some of the guys do, but it's more fun to talk to the waitresses. And, you know, if you see me sitting there, by all means, come by, say hello. They have outdoor dining, and I eat there quite a bit. That's why I'm known as Padre El Gordo. And but it's good stuff. I mean, you really get your money's worth in there. And I also want to tell you about a good friend of mine, Glenn Kirshner. Now, this is not a paid advertisement. This comes from the heart. And Glenn was a prosecutor for the federal government, an Army JAG for 6.5 years, but he was prosecutor for 30 years. And he has a YouTube channel called Justice Matters. If you're tired of getting bad information and you want some straight information from someone who's a straight shooter, check out my friend Glenn Kirshner. You'll be glad you did. And if you become part of the Team Justice community, you'll really be up to date on what's going on, because he doesn't shoot left or right. He is just a straight shooter and a good guy. I know the man personally, and I personally vouch for his integrity. Well, tonight I'm really excited. I have a couple of friends here with us, but before I do that, I skipped one thing, and it's the thing that we always go through, so I apologize. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I have two fast women here, and I'm speeding ahead of over time here. As you know, every week we go through the coronavirus numbers, and it still blows me away that there's some people who think it's a hoax. I don't know. Maybe they're, help them with a stock of foil hats or something. I don't know, but it's really a problem. And right before the show, I did what I always do. I checked with Johns Hopkins University, which is where you get straight information. You know me, if it's not real and it's not fact-checked, I don't say it. So as of a few minutes before going on air, the current cases, confirmed cases, is 11,714,243. That's pretty serious. Please wear a mask. It's not a political statement. If not for yourself, for those around you. And if you're claiming to be a Christian, you won't wear a mask, well, stop calling yourself a Christian. You're not. Because Christians don't go out and hurt other people. Christians protect the people around them. And, I feel very strong about that. So strong because our death toll, as of a few minutes before going on air, is 252,514. That's a lot of empty chairs, a lot of tables for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I hope you'll join me in keeping these people in prayer for their healing from their grief. But more than that, I hope you'll continue to make noise about we need solutions, not political statements, okay? So having said that, onto a cheerier topic. I have a couple friends here, Kelly Barr Anderson, Tatiana Weiss. Twice on Weiss and
Twice on Weiss.
and right on Weiss. Anyhow, they're part of the gorgeous Irwindale Racing ladies, and that's a racing team. And they're going into a sport that has been so dominated by the male gender. So they're really making a change here, an important change, and showing that there's many ways of equality that we need to be looking at. And so, ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. Yes,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you here. Now, what got you into racing besides trying to outrun the police?
I like how she points to me.
Yeah.
We're going to go in chronological order. It's something I've always wanted to do, is the truth, and put off. Always loved American Muscle. Last year, I bought the car, went to the drag strip right off the street, and figured it out as I went, and I didn't know anybody there. So that's what got me into it, and from then on, it's taken off a little bit like a rocket
Nice.
since, and that's when I met Kelly.
You're up.
Okay. Yes. Excuse me. We started spectating, and about a year and a half ago or so, and then I would see Tatiana come down and smile ear to ear, and me and my husband were just like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And so, excuse me. So I decided one night to give it a try, and the first night I went down the track, I was hooked, and it's history from there on.
Well, that's great. And I know the exhilaration of driving fast. I've had a few sports cars. I think the fastest I went was 175. And but I was young. It was just what we did. But don't ask any more questions about that, because highway
You see the
patrol-
look on our faces.
Yeah, well, highway patrol. I don't know what the statute of limitations are. What has it been like trying to break into this in such a male-dominated sport? Have you been welcomed with open arms, or have you had to fight your way into this?
Okay. For myself, I felt very welcomed.
Good.
I never felt like they didn't want me there, and if they did, I was oblivious to it. I just loved it so much, and when I fall in love with something, that's it. And I definitely found my calling in this area, bringing people together to find this joy. So yeah, I mean, they seem to be really, really welcoming. They enjoy us at the track, I feel like. We bring back some passion that's been missing.
Good.
And so yeah, it's been a treat.
Well, I know Irwindale's quite a place, and they were talking about closing it down a few years ago. My son used to go out there and race. Yes. That's why all his hair is gray now. It used to be red. But he was heartbroken when they were talking about shutting the place down, because in the community it really has a history. And so now I understand it's an expensive sport. Is that correct?
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
What kind of things do people need to have going into this? Because I think some people get the idea is you just buy a car and you go real fast. But if I understand, there's a lot of investment in this, and equipment, and finding out what you're doing. Would that be correct?
And if I had known what you just said last year, I would not have just bought the car and gone on the track. But it's true, when you start something like this, it gets very expensive, not only to maintain, but there's also a point at which I think Kelly and I are both chasing speed.
Mm-hmm.
And the question to how fast you want to go is usually how much money have you got. So
That's true.
It's been a good year for racing, because there's been no vacations. There's been nowhere else to go put all this budgeted money to go have fun with. As far as I'm concerned, it all went into the race car.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky you were asking how it is to be in a male-dominated sport. I'm lucky that my husband is very supportive of my taking all the vacation money and putting it in the race car.
Yes.
But that's what I've been doing. And he also pointed out to people at the track when Bob Beck, the announcer at Irwindale before lockdown, would say, and there's the guy in the Scat Pack. My husband went and knocked on the door at the tower and said, excuse me, that guy is my wife. So and Bob announced it's Tatiana, blah, blah. Since then, people have noticed, and it's been good. And Kelly, by creating the organization Girls, has brought more awareness that there's quite a few of us racing and more willing to race because they know we're there. That's what started to happen.
Oh, that's great. Now, I would imagine, being that this, and I'm not trying to be politically correct, I'm just trying to say it as it is, this glass ceiling that's being broke, I would imagine it's an inspiration for younger ladies as well. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of girls, teenagers. I've got a few friends' daughters that will have them text me or chat with me in order to see, when are you at the track? When can I sit in the car? When can I go with you for a ride? And other older ones who are starting to look at buying muscle cars. And I love that. I love it.
Oh, that's cool. Now, do you have to have like a pit crew and stuff like that? Because I really don't know about this. What was that like?
I do feel that I'm at the point now. So I now race. I've moved on from the Scat Pack, and I race a Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye that I have modified extremely. Extremely. So I drive her to the track, and I change out all 4 tires at the track before I race.
Good.
I don't have a pit crew. I'm pit crew. My husband is super helpful in setting up the pit, but I'm the one who does the work on the car.
Okay.
So it would be nice to have a pit crew maybe one day.
Sure. I mean, when you're really serious about something, it's amazing how things develop. You know, I think of Richard Bach in his book Illusions. One of the things he writes is, you're never given a dream without also being given the means to make it come true. Now, that doesn't mean there's not work involved, because some people hear that and they think, oh, okay, it's just going to happen. No, there's work involved. You know, for me to do what I do, from the time I dreamt of going into priesthood, I had to get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I went on for my PhD. There was work to do, and I had to do my formation stuff. And you're doing the same thing in racing, to where if I'm hearing you correctly, it is like an educational system as you go from one league to the next one, that you have to acquire certain information and knowledge. Otherwise, you're not going to have the skill to do what you're doing. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, you know, leveling up and, you know, going quicker and having more modifications to the car. For myself, I don't work on the car. My husband is my main pit crew.
He's across the studio from us.
He is so supportive, and without his support, I certainly would not be here today. It takes his everything. Every free moment goes into getting my car ready, getting the trailer ready, getting my stuff together. Whatever it is, he's doing it. Totally on board. He's enjoying every moment, and yeah, it's so you need a team. I need a team.
You know, and that's really good, because you're talking about something I think is so important to keep in mind. And that's having people standing with you, alongside you, not just behind you. And sometimes one of the areas that we have really had deficit in is too many times, and forgive me, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I've seen too many times with husbands saying, well, that's nice, dear, have a good time. And it's so demeaning. And I think it's a dream crusher when that happens. You know, I think when you look at marriage and you look at what I call partnership, there's equal enthusiasm for the things that are important. Even if you don't understand what the other one's doing, there's a need for equal enthusiasm. Okay, so for spiritual principle, being that this is a spiritual program, I think that's an important thing to put in there. And I'm glad to hear it sounds like both of you have that going on, so you actually have a team in your marriage. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good. That's what, to me, that's what a strong marriage is.
I agree.
Okay? It really is, because if you're not there for your spouse, I think we call that being a jerk. And on the other side, I can't say the word on air. But it's not nice. But it is important to have that because, if you don't have that type of support, look, what you're doing is dangerous. There's no question about it. It's really dangerous. And everything you can have around you, if I'm hearing you correctly, needs to add to your sense of security, safety, and production of your skill. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. And I would add the confidence that you get from the right support, even if they're not pit crew.
Right.
I travel to race also with my tuner and the person who works on my car with MPR Motorsports. And when we travel together to race, you get the support from Lonnie, from Kim, from John, from other racers. They're together, just making me feel I'm supported. I'm in the same car. It's going to do the same thing going down the track. But they've changed my mindset.
Yes.
They make me feel you're going to do this. Don't worry about the other guy. Don't worry about the other lane. Don't worry about anything. You can do this. It's you and this track. And yes, it's dangerous. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. That's why our cars are caged.
Right.
That's why we're in 5-point harnesses. That's why we wear fire suits and helmets. It's dangerous, and we love it.
I can believe it. Well, we're coming up to our first commercial break, and you're listening to Viewpoint with Father John on KCAA Radio, and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org, www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Life insurance is one of those subjects that many people want to change the subject rather than admit they probably don't have enough. That's why State Farm Agent Joe Amlani in Redlands focuses on how the benefits of life insurance actually live on by asking people to think in terms of life without having to sell the house insurance or life without having to give up college insurance. Find out how the benefits of life insurance can live on for your family. Call State Farm Agent Joe Amlani in Redlands at 909-894-4619 and put the life back into life insurance.
And welcome back. You're tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or you can listen from anywhere in the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. And a quick shout out to the best sound man in the business. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, Father John, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Always good to see you, man. And
Good to see you, too.
And we've been talking about speed. That doesn't mean do a line in the booth, okay?
Well, that ruins my plans.
Yeah, sorry, man. I know a little go fast goes a long way. So, hey, thanks, buddy. Glad you're here tonight. So tonight I have two really incredible people on the show tonight, which is Kelly Barr Anderson and Tatiana Weiss.
Yes.
Ah, look at that. Look at that. See, you can teach the Irish. I had to go down my hair in the bathroom so it wouldn't be so blonde. But so we're talking about the sport of racing and the impact of women now joining this, which I think is such a great deal. Because it can be an exciting sport and a dangerous sport. And I think sometimes people think that it's all just fun and games, but you actually have to be physically fit for this. I had a friend that was into this years ago. Her name was Rosie, and her daytime job was she was a funeral director, and of course, being a priest, we worked together quite a bit. And her hands are so strong from being a race car driver that sometimes she'd forget and she'd go to pick something up and she'd put holes in things with her fingers because her hands are so strong.
Wow.
And so I would imagine you have to have somewhat of an aggressive physical fitness idea or exercising pretty regularly. What do you two do?
My thing is running. Running is what is good for me physically and for we were talking about mindset, and also for me emotionally. I feel it's a good release.
I run when my wife is mad at me.
I would too if I were you.
Touche.
And for myself, I train twice a week with a trainer, and I was walking 7 days a week, and then now it's slacking off because it's getting colder and I don't enjoy this weather, but for my mindset, I need to walk.
You know, it's funny you said that because I'm just the opposite. When it was so hot because of my asthma and stuff, I had to slow down to walking, plus we had all those fires and stuff. And now it's cooling off. I'm walking almost every single day. I try to do 2 miles a day. And but because it's cooler weather, it's better for me. So that's funny. Not that that's important. I don't drive a race car anymore. I drive an old Cadillac, but I keep hearing that song, Pink Cadillac. So
It's a cute Sunday car.
yeah, nice. I'm going to find a nun with
Sorry.
a big ruler. So it's okay. I'll give you absolution later. But anyhow, what are some things that you think would be important for people listening tonight about the sport that if they're considering this? Where's some tips you'd like to give them?
My number one tip is do it. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just go, take a run down there, take a run down the lanes, and face your fears. Because for too long, almost 51 years, I lived in fear. And once I sat in that seat and went down the track, my life was never the same, and it will never be the same. So grateful.
You know, we were friends until you just made it clear how much older I am than you, but that's okay. I'll get over it. Don't mind if you hear a little sniffling. I'm just crying. My
I'm a
feelings
couple
are
years,
hurt.
but now I'm 52, so I think I'm 52.
I still a bit over that.
Kelly, you're not helping the situation.
You want to help me? Don't help me.
I know, right?
Anyhow, so what kind of advice would you like to let them know about?
Absolutely mirroring what Kelly just said. And to make you feel a little bit better, I started when I was 47. I'm now 48.
Last week. I'm getting beat up over here, kids. I hope someone will call for elder abuse.
So it was absolutely for me a matter of facing my fears. Absolutely, 100%. Outside my comfort zone, what makes me feel good and happy and comfortable. Okay, let's go there.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Exactly like it was the same feeling. You want to be comfortable and you want to live your life in your little box all your life, as plush as it is. Racing isn't for you.
You know, it's interesting. I talk about something like that in my book, Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me. And when I talk about fear, I say we have 3 acronyms for fear. False evidence appearing real, forget everything and run, face everything and recover. And it sounds like you're talking about face everything and recover. You know, we used to say it's okay to have butterflies. The trick is to teach them to fly in formation.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can't do that by thinking about it. You have to take the action into it. And I think that's what separates you folks, I was going to say you ladies, but I don't want to sound sexist, but you ladies from other people is the fact that in spite of your fear, you said, I'm going to move forward.
Yes.
There's 2 ways to look at it. You just said face everything and recover.
Yes.
For me, fear has become what I'm actually attracted to.
Yes.
Because it guides me as to what to do, which is I'm a bit of a philosophy lover.
Good.
It's a little bit stoicism.
Right.
The act defines who you are.
Right.
The thought comes and goes. You are not the thought.
Right.
So this is, to me, what it was, without meaning to get too philosophical.
No, you're allowed to get, hey, you know what? This is the right platform for it. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, they go together. You know, it's like science and religion. They're 2 dance partners that have been away from each other for too long. The physician and the metaphysician should be working hand in hand, not in spite of one another, because both have something to offer. It's not either or, it's and. And so, yeah, I agree with that. The philosophy is really good. In fact, a lot of people I know in sports who are really at the top of their game have an interesting background with philosophy and are very well read with that. And that brings me to the next point. This is not a brainless sport. And I think some people think that. I know they watch certain type of racing, and I'm not knocking any kinds of racing. I'm knocking the reputation it's had. Because if you don't have your wits about you, if you are not a smart advocate of this arena, you're dead.
Absolutely.
And we don't need idiots on the track. We need smart people on the track. Okay?
And we're always concerned about who's lining up next to us for that very reason.
Yes. When I used to ride horses, it's the same thing. Not everyone has a saddle belongs on a horse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I lived in Norco once. They were so glad when I moved. So, Kelly, tell us some of your experiences with this. Okay, you've been in it how long now?
Just over a year. I started October 10th, 2019.
Ooh, it is just over a year.
Yeah, my anniversary.
birthday.
Thank you so much. And what looking at my life this past year, I can't believe how far I've come, who I've become. Someone posted something on Facebook about you liking who you are, or would you buy from you? And I said, you know what? For the first time in my life, I like me.
Nice.
I'm in 12-step programs. I've worked on myself for many years. Definitely not perfect at it, but I'm ahead of the game because I'm trying. I'm focusing. I'm putting effort into myself. I do the footwork. God does the rest. If I do my part. And also, you grow when you're uncomfortable.
Yes.
So if you're comfortable all the time, you're not growing. And you're not
Absolutely.
living. I like to live. I never thought I would like life like I do.
It's like a prayer I use when I go into emergency rooms or special crisis things, and it's real simple. It goes, I'll pedal, you steer. And so we do the footwork,
Yes.
and we get the results from the footwork, not from praying about the footwork, not by visioning the footwork. I mean, that's all important stuff, but you got to take that first step.
Yep.
And how's that impacting your life personally like that? You said a little bit about that, but dig a little deeper.
It has it's impacted every area of my life. It's impacted, who I am. It has really reshaped the person that it made me the person that God intended me to be. Just the way everything in my life kind of planted me here, finding God, May 16, 2010, and then the AA community, and then the health coaching community, which has changed my world. And because of the health coaching community, they taught me how to be able to be in front of people and to be confident in myself and to set goals, dreams, and go for it.
Nice. Same question to you, Tatiana.
Again, I hate to be repetitive, but it's very similar feeling to what Kelly expressed. It's, for me, I'm a little less religious. I grew up Catholic, but I have turned more philosophical with time
I get that.
than religious, which does not mean I'm not both.
Sure.
However, I feel that for me, it has helped me create myself. So she just said, this is who God intended her to be. And I felt like, there I am.
Yeah, I love
There I am.
Yes.
And that's what the moment was for me, to never let this go, whatever that means.
Not to keep bringing my book into this, but you're talking about things that I've written about. And one of the things I say when it comes to being religious opposed to spiritual, I put being religious is us trying to show God how good we are. Being spiritual is letting God show us how good he is and enjoying the love. Where you say he, she, it doesn't matter. God is neither gender and all gender. Okay, so, and that includes LGBTQ and now A. I guess they have internal affairs.
Well,
yeah, IA is now. They keep adding letters, and I'm dyslexic. This is torture.
the
Again,
intention
elder
is what
abuse.
counts.
Yeah. But the point being, and I know I keep bringing around the spirit, but I don't think they're separate. And the fact that God doesn't have stepchildren. We're all God's kids. And I really believe it's God's will for us to be fully who we are meant to be, which is a way of feeling our closeness and knowing that every one of us is created in value. Every one of us is deserving of dignity, of love and respect. And for us to disrespect one person is to disrespect all people.
Absolutely.
You know, and I guess that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about seeing what you're doing, because you're bringing this to life in another arena that is needed to be done for a long time. And there's some people, it just takes them a while to catch up. You know, they don't realize that the future's not in the past. The future is now. And, you know, spirit only goes one direction, forward, never backwards.
Absolutely.
Okay? And if you don't do it, you're always going to hate yourself, because you're always going to say, what if? What if? You know, one of the things we talk about is that, you know, when history, well, until we learn a lesson from the experience, we must re-experience the lesson. But when history repeats itself, the price goes up. And every time you look in the mirror and say, I wish I'd done that, the pain gets greater and greater until finally you say, you know what, dang it, I'm going to do it. And the people with the most regrets, and I'm not knocking anybody here, I'm just giving some facts as someone who was a hospice chaplain for years and heard a lot of deathbed confessions, is the fact that all the regrets I wish I had done, I wish I had not let my fear stop me from doing it.
I believe it.
And now, I will admit, I identify with both of you as being a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Okay,
It is. I wasn't going to say that right away.
but it is
It's quite an exhilarating rush.
yes.
And it is
don't
second
ask how I
to
know that.
none. Some things are not to be repeated on the air.
Okay. Welcome to NBC Confessional
Yeah, right.
on
That'd be
KCAA
good.
Radio. So,
Get lots of tuners
Yeah.
in for that one.
you know, one of the things I really like is you both have a wonderful sense of humor. And sometimes I think that we think of people who are in different sports, they don't have humor. And I think it's so important, because if you can't laugh, then you can't have fun. And if you can't have fun, why are you doing it?
What's the point?
What's the point? So what are some of the experiences, we have a few more minutes before we go to commercial break, what are some of the experiences that really got your adrenaline going in your racing career? They're both looking at each other like, do we tell, do we not
I
tell?
know. I mean, every run, every single run. And I'm sure I've taken well over 500 passes in my 1 year of racing. I get as much seat time as I possibly can. Want to learn the car, because then you're always doing upgrades and there's always something new to learn. And I really want to go as far as I can with this. And I want to bring as many people on board as I can.
You mentioned a term that I don't know the listeners know. I don't know what it means. Passes.
Oh, times down the track.
Oh, okay,
Runs
okay.
or, yeah.
No, that's good to know, because I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
And I didn't want to assume something.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
and Frank's looking at me like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's family radio. So what are some of your experiences with this? What's some of your exhilaration moments?
My exhilaration came the first time we were together in Bakersfield in July. And something slick got on the ground, and I lost control of the car. I was actually racing Kelly. She was in the lane next to me. My car spun, and thankfully, when it did, she passed me, because I lost the butt to my car.
It's a donkey she carries.
It's a donkey I carry. And I didn't react. I didn't make any sudden moves. I've always felt I commune with my car when I get in her.
Right.
I tell her how much I love her and what I'm going to do for her. And it's real.
Yes.
My feeling one with her.
Yes.
And it's a her. My growler is a girl. The exhilaration I felt when I gently steered the car away from the wall was fear brought back to me.
Right.
And then I went down the track and I just slowly, I don't know, I was going maybe 50 miles an hour just to get to the finish because I did not need to accelerate in that pass. That was exhilarating, and my husband told me he had started to cry.
Yeah.
And he stopped filming, and you see the car go sideways, and the phone goes down. He couldn't handle it, and I started to shake a little bit when I got off Return Road, and I'm like, I'm fine. And on my dash cam video, you can hear myself saying, I'm fine, we're good. That exhilaration of knowing I could pull us out of this situation and be safe without reacting or being fearful was huge to me because it was my
Yes.
first such experience.
You know, it reminds me, years ago, when I went through a police academy, I wasn't always a priest. And one of my instructors, who was a captain for Pasadena Police Department, Pat Bennett, matter of fact, if you're listening, Pat, thanks for all you taught us. And he was talking about when he was a patrolman in Pasadena, and they just had the first rain of the season, and he's behind this guy, he lights him up, and he's going to pull him over. Well, the guy hit his brakes real quick, and so Pat hit his brakes and spun, and he thought for sure they were going to smack, but they stopped just an inch apart, window to window. He says, looks like the guy says, pretty good, huh? He says,
Wow.
slow down. Speaking of slowing down, we're at our next commercial break. You're listening to Viewpoint with Father John, and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
In the Inland Empire, you know how much it means to have neighbors you can count on, like the Cookout Kings who invite you over every weekend for Burger Palooza. Well, here's another good neighbor you can count on, State Farm Agent Joe Amlani. He and his team are here to help life go right when you combine your home and auto insurance, which can save you money and time. So combine home and auto and start the savings rolling. Call State Farm Agent Joe Amlani, 909-894-4619 today.
And welcome back. You're tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and you can listen from anywhere in the world at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John. I am your host, Father John Reed. And just a little shout out to the people around the world. I appreciate the letters you send me and the contact on Facebook and Instagram. It amazes me. People from all around the world tune into this. I get letters from Brazil, Panama, Philippines, and it just blows me away. And so I thank you, everyone who tunes into this, because without you, there'd be no reason for me to do this. And I appreciate the fact that you stay in contact. You share with me some of your joys, some of your pain, and and everything in between. And now tonight I have a couple wonderful people on the air with me tonight. Two really fast ladies over here, faster than I've ever been around, and Kelly Barr Anderson and Tatiana Weiss. If you hear me stutter, yes, I am nervous because I've been screwing up names last couple weeks. Some of you know I've been dealing with some dementia stuff. I'm learning to laugh at myself a little bit about it, but sometimes it's a little frustrating because I'll be looking at something, I'll be looking at the name, And I go to say one thing and I say something else. And so some of you have dealt with dementia, you know what that's like. And when you no longer have control of that, if you don't learn to laugh, it's going to dominate you. And what I realized, I think of one of my heroes, Ram Dass. And I've followed Ram Dass for many, many years. And a few years ago, he had a major stroke. And his body stopped working for him. In fact, he had to be pushed around in a wheelchair and stuff. And one of the most insightful things I saw, he did a documentary about this, and I love him for this. And he said at first he was angry with his body because it wouldn't do what he wanted to do. And he thought about how unfair it was, the spiritual life he led, and then he got to the point where he says, now I have to discover who I am now in this body that doesn't work the way I want it to. And that's been what my journey has been, is I'm finding out who is John now, who's Father John now, that I'm having to start out a little earlier because I don't know if I'm going to get lost on the way. How are my tremors going to be? When I got to the station tonight, Kelly was here and she could tell you my tremors were pretty bad. I got lost on the way to the station a little bit. And those of you thinking, well, use a GPS, it doesn't work when that curtain falls because I can't make sense of what it's telling me. So you won't be seeing me on the racetrack. Maybe in the stands, but not on the track for your safety and mine.
We want you to come out.
Yeah.
Come pit crew for us.
Hey, you know what?
It would be
I can
wonderful.
do that. I can pit. Anyone who knows me knows I've been in the pits for years. I'm not sure what that means. But the fact is, all this we're talking about tonight is called self-discovery. Now, you've heard me say on this show many, many times that, like my friend Chuck Chamberlain used to say to me, we don't need one more ounce of self-improvement. What we need is self-discovery. Because when we discover who we are, we naturally do better. And that doesn't matter if we're talking about spirituality, if we're talking about being a better husband or wife, or in racing. All of it's a life lesson. And it's all spiritual. And so you might be asking, well, this is a spiritual program. How come you have two race car drivers on here? Because this is a spiritual expression too. And if you don't see God everywhere, you won't see God anywhere. And so this is proof of that. And so I appreciate both of you sharing your experience here. And it's part of your spiritual journey, if I'm correct, because it puts you in a new position with whatever your understanding of God is. And you know what? Each one of us has a little different one, and each one is okay. It's personal. And so we're not all on the same track. We're not supposed to be. And because the God I've come to know is big enough for all of us. We're the ones who get caught up in the names of religions. God just looks and sees God's creation with love. Okay? And so you're becoming the great expressions, if I'm hearing you correctly, that you know that you were meant to be. This is not just a sport, it's a fulfillment.
Yeah.
And so if you don't mind, if I may ask you, if it's not too personal, what has it done for your spiritual life to be doing this? And how has it helped you to grow? Are you comfortable with that?
For myself, it's just brought me so much joy and gratitude, and I know because God, for me, it's a relationship. It's not a religion. It's a relationship. It's between me and God. If I go to church, I go to church. If I don't, I don't. But it's still between me and God.
Right.
I need Him because I know where I go without Him. It's I'm a mess. So. I mean, I try to be so grateful, even when I'm down in the dumps. And like, people might think my life is perfect because I post all these happy things. Oh, I'm happy and I'm loving my life. I'm absolutely beyond grateful for everything I have. But I have a lot of hard times too, and a lot of drama and a lot of things. And but I try to stay really grateful I'm just so blessed to have this life. I'm so blessed.
I learned a long time ago, if we're supposed to be happy all the time, we'd be born with a frontal lobotomy. Just in those of you watching on YouTube, you can see this. You'll just have to try to understand what I'm doing. But when you look at an EKG in the hospital, this is life. I'm doing an up and down motion for those just listening on radio. This which is a flat line, is dead. So we're supposed to have some ups and downs. That's what it is to be alive. And so many times we run from our emotions, where we do it with booze, drugs, or with sex, or with food, or with gambling, whatever it is, or raging. That's another way of doing it. We're trying to flatline, which means we haven't lived yet. We have to experience the ups and downs. So I did that before I was able to give you a chance to answer. So you're up.
I'm up, okay. Similarly, in my experience, my spirituality, for me, it's my connection with spirit. The universe is my relationship with God.
Yes.
And the universe in my relationship with God is expressed through my angels, the first of whom was my mother 20 years ago. So my angels are this connection, and the feelings that I can feel as if somebody were in the room, because they are, have opened me up to this moment a year ago. For me, it was July 18th that I first went down the track of last year. What opened me up to this is this love. So for me, it's been an expression of love, which Kelly saw. She saw me smiling when I came down the track on Return Road. That's why she found me. And it continues. It's going to keep on going down the line. It's this love. And people go, racing and love, what are you talking about? I'm talking about love. I tell my car I love her when I get in the car. I tell all my racers I love them. They think I'm crazy, but it's okay. And to me, the expression has been this open-hearted, for lack of a better way to put it, love and acceptance. And you were talking about treating people certain ways. It's an
Yes.
acceptance of everybody.
Yes.
That's what racing has done for me and continues to do for me. And I'm very excited to see the other directions it will take.
Now, I know there's people listening tonight that are going to be very interested and would like to know how they might get involved. Now, you have an actual organization, is that correct?
We have a group
Okay, group. Okay.
that is happy to help encourage girls, women, join us. We've also had guys who want to race join us. We don't discriminate.
No.
Well, tell us about the organization, about the group.
Oh,
Kelly founded it.
yeah, June 9th, 2020. Yeah. So I was talking to my sponsor, and I have two sponsors, and my one sponsor said, "You're a maven." And what's a maven? It's a person who brings people together.
Right.
And it clicked that moment, and that's when I decided to start this group. Because I want these women and other people to know the joy that we have. And so you just live out loud, and people see the joy, and it's so immense that,
So how would people get involved with that if they're interested in getting involved?
If they want to come out to our track, they could, Girls of Irwindale on Instagram, and the Gorgeous Irwindale Racing Ladies on Facebook. Search us up and send us a message, add us as a friend, whatever you'd like. We would be more than happy to help you, to let you know when there's events, when there's test and tuning next, season. All as much information as I can, I will give you. We will give you. You can find me on Full Throttle Fabulous on Instagram. And Tatiana?
I'm at Tati Weiss on Instagram.
Great. Now, is there a website or that they can go to, or email they can send or something?
The website's being designed right now.
Okay.
So it's not quite ready, but boy, when it's ready, it's going to be stunning.
Which means you guys are going to have to come back, do another show so we can introduce that.
That would be awesome.
If we must.
We would love to.
That's the only way I can get a second date with women.
all are.
Just kidding, Gabby.
We have a core group of 5 of us. We'd all love to come, if you're able to have.
Well, I don't know, Frank. Can we do we do 5 mics? I don't know about that. Yeah, this isn't exactly karaoke. I don't know. Frank's getting all ready to the microphone up there, and
We have 4 mites, but there's an extra channel on the mixer. I might be able to run one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But we also have phone lines too.
Yeah, so one or two of them can call in on phone line as well. And
We'd love to join.
yeah, well, so we'll do that. We'll make it a great evening, because you know I really want to support what you're doing, and I mean that sincerely. Because the more glass ceilings we can break, and the more that we can see the spirit in both of us. You know, I believe it was John Valjean and La Mazra said, "To love another person is to see the face of God," and to do that, every glass ceiling we break allows us to really see one another. And there's some spiritual cultures that their greeting is, "I see you." And that's a very important one because they're not just talking physically. They look into each other's eyes, and Hindus are very famous for this, and say, "I see you." And so this is a way of all of us learning how to see one another in a tangible way, but also a very deep spiritual way as well. And I don't care what religion you are or lack thereof. You know, religio is a verb. It's an action. That's the Latin word for religion, kids. And, I want to put some of that education to work here. You want to hear an Aramaic? But the fact is, it sounds like part of what you're doing is you're helping people to see themselves and see each other, particularly the girls that come to the track, and some of the guys too, who get involved with this and find out that they're more than a name.
Yeah.
They're not just somebody's wife or daughter or sister or niece or aunt. Excuse me.
They are.
They're somebody individually. And each one is an expression of spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. And funny thing about the word God, what that word really means is that which cannot be named in words. So when people talk about, no, it has to be this name, that name, no. The word God means that it can be expressed in words. So that's why there's so many names for it. Because if you could define it, you don't understand it. It's much deeper than that. And if it could be confined to a building, it wouldn't be big enough to solve our problems.
No.
And so that's my preaching for tonight. I'm required to do that. You know, diocese does. I don't want the diocese to take my shingle back.
We wouldn't want that.
If I could just say one thing about
Yes.
racing, I started out with my daily driver 6-cylinder Camaro at 74 miles an hour. So, I mean, you could take any car down the track. It doesn't have to be an awesome race car. You'll probably end up buying an awesome race car down the way, but start out with your daily driver. Just take it down the track. You don't even have to do a burnout. I was scared to death to do a burnout.
I was looking forward to the burnout.
I was scared. I was like, I don't want to hit the wall.
What's the fastest, we're getting to our last couple of minutes, but what's the fastest either one of you have gone? And then Frank, I think, is going to talk about jumping in there.
I've gone, on the quarter mile, I've gone 142.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah.
I did the quarter mile. I think I got 117. I don't remember because my car's not geared for the quarter mile. I got 101 miles an hour at 6.75 seconds in the 8th mile Friday. My best ever.
I got from the bed to the bathroom in 5 seconds.
Yay!
Frank, did you want to put something in there? Yeah,
I was just going to say my first burnout was on accident in a coffee shop parking lot when I was 17.
But was it good?
No, it was pretty good. I had the e-brake on. It's a front-wheel drive, a little Hyundai, and I accidentally dropped the clutch, and the tires just start spinning. So I had my foot still on the gas a little bit, and oh my gosh, my mom freaked out.
I am so sorry, but congratulations.
I did not run through the coffee shop though.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Not hit people or buildings.
my first burnout cost me a set of chonies, but it was just too much taco sauce. Had nothing to do with tires. So we're down to our last 2 minutes. What are some thoughts that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I would like to leave them with, do it afraid. Just do it. Your life is short. It's coming up to an end quick. Just do it. Live life.
Yeah.
And my thought is, regardless of what it is you're considering, whether it's racing or something else, don't have a short view to have a long view. Because to me, it's opened me up to being an influence to other people, and maybe that's my role here rather than the actual racing.
Absolutely.
You never know what the bigger picture, what the universe has in store for you until you start in that direction. You don't have to know where you're going, just start.
That's right.
And I was taught everything tastes a little bit better when you share it with somebody else.
That's for sure.
And we don't have time for me to tell an old story about that, but there's a great one called the Soup Rock, and I hope you'll look it up. It talks about, it's a wonderful story.
Thank you for having us,
Well-
Father John.
Well, thanks for being here. And brothers and sisters, thanks for tuning again this week. You know, I'm honored that you tune in every week. And if no one told you this week that they love you, let me be the first. And most of all, be kind to one another. Don't forget, we're in this together. And we have more in common than we have apart, than we have different in. And if you see somebody without a smile, give them one of yours. You know, I'll end with this, that my friend Chuck Chamberlain used to tell me that love is a divine paradox. When you go out to get, you come back empty. When you go out to give, you come back overflowing. And so let's overflow with this thing of love as we go into Thanksgiving. Now, next week, it'll be on automation on the station, so I'll be back the following week with Dr. John Smith. We're going to do a series for a few weeks. God bless.
Listen on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM.
Medical scientists worldwide are encouraging people to eat more fish. Most American diets are low.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.